What if I told you that Earth's greatest tragedy may not have been caused by a single asteroid, but by two? Sounds unbelievable, but this hypothesis has shaken the scientific community. For years, we've believed in the story of just one dinosaur extinction asteroid, but new evidence points to something even more shocking: a possible double asteroid impact. Now think about this. If a single strike was powerful enough to wipe out 75% of all life on the planet, what could it do? This isn't science fiction, it's real data, studied and documented by geologists and astronomers. And when you look closely at these discoveries, the classic narrative about the extinction of the dinosaurs starts to feel incomplete. Get ready, because in the next few minutes you'll discover details that most people have never heard of. The truth about Earth's deadliest state isn't just about one impact hit, maybe about how two asteroids hit Earth and changed history forever. 66 million years ago, a dinosaur extinction asteroid turned Earth into a living hell. In a short time, about 75% of all species vanished. Imagine this: one day, dinosaurs ruled the planet. The next, they were desperately fighting against fire, darkness, and starvation. It was a catastrophic asteroid strike so brutal that not even the strongest had a chance. It wasn't a slow change, but rather nature's direct blow. Think about how humanity has collapsed under much smaller crises: blackouts, pandemics, wars. Now multiply that by 1,000. That's the scale of how the Chicxulub impact knocked life to the ground, leaving no time for recovery. The evidence is undeniable. This impact shattered food chains, collapsed ecosystems, and turned forests into ashes. Top predators lost their prey, herbivores had no plants left, and soon the entire machinery of life broke down. What seemed like just an asteroid falling was, in reality, a death sentence for an entire world. Now think about this: if two asteroids hit Earth today, what would remain of our cities? Burned satellites, power grids destroyed, communications wiped out. And what if I told you that some scientists believe that, back then, it might not have been just one asteroid, but a double asteroid impact? In 2022, scientists discovered something astonishing hidden at the bottom of the Atlantic. A circular structure near the coast of Guinea stood out for its shape and depth. There lay the Nadir crater, 5.7 miles across, located 3,000 feet beneath the sea. A clear scar showing that a cosmic body had left its mark. Initial analyses revealed something intriguing. The dating of this structure coincided with the time of the Chicxulub impact, about 66 million years ago. It wasn't just another crater lost in the ocean. It was solid evidence that the story of extinction might be far more complex. Picture the scene: while the planet was already facing the chaos of the dinosaur extinction asteroid, another, smaller yet still devastating impact might have struck Earth. If confirmed, this would mean we're looking at a rare double asteroid impact. Not a minor detail, but a twist in the entire catastrophe narrative. And this discovery wasn't left to speculation. Recent studies proved that Nadir was indeed caused by a real asteroid, not volcanism or any other explanation. This opens the possibility that instead of a single isolated event, Earth may have endured two asteroids hit Earth almost at the same time. The big question now is, did Earth suffer a double asteroid impact 66 million years ago? This hypothesis gained traction when scientists realized that the Nadir impact occurred almost at the same time as Chicxulub. Wouldn't it be too much of a coincidence for two events of such magnitude to happen so close together in time? Some researchers suggest that Nadir could have been just a fragment of the same body that created Chicxulub. Picture a giant asteroid breaking into pieces, with each fragment striking a different part of the planet. Others argue it was an entirely independent event. Either way, the result was devastating. In 2023, new analyses confirmed that the Nadir crater was indeed caused by an asteroid. This buried any doubts that it might have been a submarine volcano or some other geological phenomenon. Earth, therefore, may not have faced just one catastrophic asteroid strike, but possibly two in succession. If this hypothesis holds true, It completely changes the way we understand the extinction of the dinosaurs. We would no longer be talking about a single dinosaur extinction asteroid, but about a scenario where two asteroids hit Earth within hours or days. And when we compare the magnitude of each impact, the story becomes even more revealing. When we talk about the Chicxulub impact, we're facing a true monster. Its crater stretched nearly 120 miles across. It was the kind of collision that could, on its own, wipe out almost all life on the planet. Nadir, at 5.7 miles wide, seems small in comparison. But don't be fooled, its size still meant destruction on a continental scale. The asteroid that created Nadir was about 1,600 feet in diameter. That might sound modest, but it was 5 times larger than the Tunguska object, the one that in 1908 flattened an entire Siberian forest, crushing 80 million trees in seconds. Now imagine something of that size slamming into the ocean at full force. While Chicxulub was the final blow that turned dinosaurs into fossils, Nadir may have acted as a tragic warm-up. A smaller catastrophic asteroid strike, but still powerful enough to unleash massive tsunamis, wildfires, and earthquakes, a prelude to what was yet to come. And here's the point that sparks even deeper reflection. If Earth truly suffered a double asteroid impact, Nadir might have weakened ecosystems before Chicxulub struck. 2 consecutive blows in a short span of time. And when we consider the speed and energy of these impacts, the picture becomes even more unsettling. The Nadir asteroid wasn't just large, it was incredibly fast. It's estimated to have struck Earth at 45,000 miles per hour, nearly 11 times faster than a modern military projectile. Picture a bullet racing through space and colliding with the ocean, releasing an energy no living being could possibly withstand. The impact unleashed a force equivalent to 5,000 megatons of TNT. To put that into perspective, that's more than the entire nuclear arsenal of humanity combined. If an explosion of that magnitude happened today, entire cities would vanish from the map within seconds, and no technology could prevent the catastrophe. Compared to Chicxulub, the Nadir impact seems smaller, but no less astonishing. Chicxulub was the lethal strike, Nadir, the blow that already left the planet staggering. Together, they represent what may have been the most terrifying double asteroid impact in known history. What makes this story even more intriguing is how asteroids behave in space. Some travel in pairs, others fragment into multiple bolides that strike different points on Earth. And when we think about these possible cosmic siblings, the theory of two asteroids hit Earth begins to look even more real. In space, nothing is as simple as it seems. Many asteroids don't travel alone. They can fragment or even follow parallel paths, almost like cosmic siblings. This opens the door to a chilling hypothesis: a double asteroid impact isn't impossible at all, but rather a reality already observed in other astronomical scenarios. When a massive rocky body approaches Earth, it can split apart as it enters the atmosphere. This creates multiple impacts, each with its own destructive force. That's exactly what happened in 2013, when a meteor exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia, injuring more than 1,000 people with nothing but the shockwave. Now imagine multiplying that event 100 or even 1,000 times. 2 impacts in quick succession could cause far more devastation than a single strike. This scenario fits perfectly with the idea that two asteroids hit Earth at the end of the dinosaur era, unleashing a storm of consequences. And if Chicxulub and Nadir truly were part of the same story, then the extinction wasn't caused by a single dinosaur extinction asteroid, but by a chain of collisions. Which leads us to the question, what happened in those very first moments, when Earth turned into a battlefield of fire? When the Nadir asteroid slammed into the ocean, the energy released was so intense that the flash of light was 24 times brighter than the sun. Imagine standing hundreds of miles away and still being blinded by a burst that turned night into day. For any living creature, simply witnessing that phenomenon was already a death sentence. Then came the heat, a thermal wave so powerful it scorched anything nearby. The fireball that formed was larger than Central Park, an infernal spectacle that left no chance of escape. It was as if the atmosphere itself had turned into an open furnace. But it didn't stop there. The impact unleashed superheated, destructive winds capable of flattening entire forests within seconds. The waters of the Atlantic rose in fury. Tsunamis 3 times taller than the Eiffel Tower swept across the ocean, erasing everything in their path. And then came the earthquake, magnitude 7, shaking the region as if the planet itself were rebelling against a cosmic invader. These immediate effects are living proof of how a single catastrophic asteroid strike can instantly rewrite reality. And when we consider the region struck, the picture becomes even more dramatic. In Africa, the Nadir impact would have been a true nightmare for the local fauna. Dinosaurs such as hadrosaurs, titanosaurs, and abelisauриds would have been among the first victims. It wasn't just the blinding flash or the searing heat that struck them, but the total destruction of their habitats. Their world was turned upside down in a matter of hours. Forests that once provided food and shelter were obliterated. Trees toppled like matchsticks before the fury of the winds and waves. Any creature that depended on vegetation simply lost its foundation for survival. It was the beginning of an ecological collapse that spread rapidly. Picture a fertile region, full of rivers, animals, and diversity, transformed into a smoldering wasteland. That is the power of a catastrophic asteroid strike. For Africa's dinosaurs, there was no plan B. Even those that survived the initial blast were soon left facing a world stripped of resources. And the most disturbing thought is that this was only the first blow. If Nadir really preceded Chicxulub, the planet was already weakened when the second asteroid arrived. And it's precisely at this point that the global effects come into play, forces capable of transforming Earth's entire climate. The Nadir impact didn't stop at local destruction. From the ocean floor, massive amounts of carbon and sulfur were released, gases capable of altering the global climate. It was as if Earth itself had inhaled poison, plunging the planet into a cycle of climatic instability. Modern simulations help us grasp this scenario. Take the asteroid Bennu, for instance. If it struck Earth, the effects would be similar: temperatures dropping for 3 to 4 years, rainfall reduced by 15%, and up to 32% loss in the ozone layer. Now imagine that happening in the past, when life was utterly vulnerable. With less rain and out-of-control temperatures, entire ecosystems would lose their ability to sustain life. Animals already weakened by the first impact faced hunger and cold. It was as if the planet had shut down its basic resources. And when that happens, even the giants fall. All of this leads to a disturbing reflection. Chicxulub may have been the final blow, but Nadir had already opened the climatic wound. And here lies the pressing question: which lasted longer, the chaos of Chicxulub or the silent damage left behind by Nadir? The Chicxulub impact was like a devastating punch. It released an absurd amount of dust into the atmosphere. The planet went dark, temperatures plummeted, and the effect was brutal but relatively short-lived. Within a few years, the dust had settled, though the damage was already irreversible. Nadir, on the other hand, ejected less dust into the air. At first glance, that might seem less dangerous, but the outcome was different. Its climatic effects were subtler, yet far more enduring. It was as if the planet had been left with an open wound, difficult to heal. This prolonged imbalance kept entire ecosystems weakened. Even species that managed to survive the initial chaos still suffered through years of disrupted climate and dwindling resources. It was a form of environmental torture that left Earth staggering before the final blow. And this is where the double asteroid impact theory gains even more weight. If Nadir kept the planet wounded for so long, then Chicxulub arrived to finish the job. But how exactly could these two events be connected? The answer may lie in the direct relationship between the two craters. The big question is, was Nadir merely a prelude, or part of the same event as Chicxulub? Some scientists believe the African impact may have weakened ecosystems before the main strike. If that's true, the dinosaurs were already staggering when the final dinosaur extinction asteroid arrived. Another hypothesis is that Nadir and Chicxulub were nearly simultaneous collisions, separated by just a few days or even hours. Imagine the planet taking to cosmic punches in quick succession, with no time to recover in between. This scenario fits perfectly with the idea of a double asteroid impact that could have magnified the catastrophe. Even so, Chicxulub alone is still considered powerful enough to explain the mass extinction. Its size and energy dwarfed any other known impact in Earth's history. However, the presence of Nadir adds a layer of complexity that cannot be ignored. And here's the provocative detail. If two asteroids hit Earth, then the classic extinction narrative is incomplete. What we call the deadliest day on Earth may, in fact, have been a sequence of hellish days. But what if something like this happened today, in the very age of humanity? If a catastrophic asteroid strike of similar scale happened today, the outcome would be unimaginable. Entire coastal cities would be wiped out by tsunamis, millions would perish within hours, and global infrastructure would collapse. There would be no time for evacuation and no technology capable of stopping the impact. The consequences wouldn't end with immediate destruction. The shock would shatter supply chains, wipe out food reserves, and cripple economies. Think about the oil crisis or the recent pandemic, both shook the world. Now multiply that by 1,000 and add famine on a planetary scale. And the climate, sudden shifts in temperature, failed harvests, shortages of drinking water. Humanity, so proud of its technological dominance, would quickly realize how dependent it still is on cosmic forces. We'd be reminded of our vulnerability in the blink of an eye. This is why scientists insist so strongly on studying these events. Earth's past, marked by a possible double asteroid impact, is not just a scientific curiosity. It's a clear warning. If two asteroids hit Earth again, history could repeat itself, only this time, with us at the center of the disaster. Now tell me this. If a single catastrophic asteroid strike was enough to change the course of life on Earth, what would happen if a double asteroid impact struck again tomorrow? Would you be prepared to live on a planet without power, without food, and without the security that today feels guaranteed? Looking back at the past isn't just historical curiosity, it's a glimpse into our future. How many civilizations once believed themselves indestructible only to be brought down by forces beyond their control? Are we making the same mistake now, trusting too much in technology while forgetting our own fragility? And what if the real question isn't if it happens again, but rather when will it happen? Scientists are already monitoring skies full of objects crossing our orbit every single day. Which one of them could be next to write a new chapter in human history? If you want to keep uncovering truths that almost no one talks about, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. Knowledge may not stop an asteroid, but it can change the way you see the world. And perhaps that's the difference between living in the dark or spotting the danger before it arrives.